When Trish Regan was let go by Fox Business in 2020 following her controversial commentary on the coronavirus pandemic, many people believed she had only herself to blame. To them, she had crossed a professional line, leaving the network with no choice but to act decisively. 5 years later, however, Regan remains very much present in the media world. She has rebuilt her platform as a podcaster and, by her own standards, has managed to keep her voice relevant and influential. Yet behind the familiar public persona is a version of Trish Regan that many people do not fully know. Born Patricia Ann Regan, she grew up in New Hampshire and spent her teenage summers working as a waitress and busser in different parts of New England. From an early age, she took pride in her roots, a pride that culminated in her winning the Miss New Hampshire title and representing her home state at the Miss America 1994 pageant. Looking back on that time, Regan has said pageantry was about far more than appearance. It required the ability to relate to people, think quickly under pressure, and present confidence in uncomfortable situations. Walking in high heels and a swimsuit, she once joked, was a skill she did not miss. Although she did not win Miss America, she earned a special award for her operatic performance, a surprise to many fans who never realized she possessed such a strong singing background. For a time, Regan seriously believed she would become a professional singer. She studied voice in Graz, Austria, and later at the New England Conservatory of Music in Boston. Ultimately, though her path shifted, even as a child, she had shown a natural inclination toward journalism and numbers. As early as 5th grade, she loved reporting and writing, eventually serving as a school correspondent for a local New Hampshire newspaper. After completing her studies at the conservatory, Regan went on to Columbia University, where she studied history. In another unexpected turn, she pursued a career in finance, working as an analyst in emerging debt markets at Goldman Sachs. Fluent in Spanish, she focused on Latin American sovereign debt, covering countries such as Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, and Venezuela. Her analytical background would later become a defining strength in her media career. That transition came when Bloomberg Television offered her a role as a correspondent. Seeing an opportunity to merge journalism with financial expertise, Regan accepted without hesitation. Starting at Bloomberg in 2000, she reported during the aftermath of the dot-com bubble, later covering Silicon Valley and San Francisco for MarketWatch. She then moved to CBS News, where she served as a business correspondent for the CBS Evening News and contributed to programs such as Face the Nation and 48 Hours. During this period, she also worked as a correspondent for CBS Money Watch. Her work earned recognition in 2002 when she received the award for Outstanding Young Broadcast Journalists from the Northern California Society of Professional Journalists in 2006. She returned more fully to financial journalism as an anchor on CNBC's highly rated Markets program. The caller investigative reporting on the connection between the tree border region of South America and Islamic terrorist groups earned her an Emmy nomination in 2007. She also received a Gerald Loeb nomination for her documentary work on the New Orleans levee system after Hurricane Katrina. At CNBC, Regan reported for NBC Nightly News and The Today Show and covered the 2008 financial crisis as it unfolded. She produced and hosted two of the most successful documentaries in CNBC history, Marijuana Inc. and Marijuana USA, examining the rapidly growing underground cannabis industry. In 2010, she published her book, Joint Ventures, Inside America's Almost Legal Marijuana Industry, predicting that the industry would eventually go mainstream. By the mid-2010s, Regan remained a valued figure across major media outlets. She continued working with Bloomberg Television, hosting Street Smart with Trish Regan in 2015. That same year marked a major turning point when she joined Fox News and Fox Business as the anchor of Intelligence Report with Trish Regan. With that exposure came heightened visibility and controversy. At one point, there were reports that Fox News CEO Roger L. had personally selected her as a potential replacement for Megyn Kelly. When Kelly departed, many assumed Regan would inherit the primetime slot. Instead, L. resigned amid multiple sexual misconduct allegations, and the network ultimately placed Tucker Carlson in the position. Regan later transitioned to a more traditional conservative talk format with Trish Regan Primetime, a move that gave her greater editorial control. However, controversy followed. In a segment titled Something Rotten in Denmark, she compared Denmark to Venezuela, criticizing high taxes and social welfare policies and warning about what she saw as the dangers of socialism. Her remarks sparked strong backlash, particularly from Danish officials, who responded with data-driven rebuttals and public criticism. Even some of Regan's supporters struggled to defend her. As questions about her journalistic accuracy gained traction, Rather than issuing an apology, Reagan attempted to clarify her statements, insisting she had not meant to equate Denmark's conditions with Venezuela's crisis. The publications she cited quickly distanced themselves from her interpretation, intensifying the backlash. Despite the controversy, she remained at Fox for 2 more years. The coronavirus pandemic in 2020 would prove decisive. On March 9th, Reagan went on air with a segment titled Coronavirus Impeachment Scam. Framing criticism of the president's handling of the virus as politically motivated, her remarks angered viewers, lawmakers, and health professionals, who accused her of irresponsibility during a public health crisis. As markets collapsed and cases surged, Fox Business faced mounting criticism for downplaying the pandemic. Reagan's show was placed on hiatus and ultimately removed from the lineup. Shortly afterward, Fox ended its relationship with her. In her public response, Reagan thanked the network and expressed her intention to focus on her family. What followed, however, was not a retreat from media, but a reinvention. In 2021, she launched the Trish Regan Show podcast through her own company, Tory Media. With over 1 million subscribers on YouTube and tens of millions of monthly views, she rebuilt herself as an independent media figure. Her podcast became one of YouTube's top-ranked shows, focusing on conservative analysis, free speech, economic liberty, and national security. Beyond podcasting, Reagan serves as executive editor of American Consequences and co-founded 76research.com, an independent financial research firm. In her personal life, she has been married since 2001 and is the mother of 3 children. She has openly discussed the challenges of balancing career and family, admitting there were times she brought her children to work or took them along on business trips. As of 2025, at age 53, Trish Regan remains a prominent conservative commentator, keynote speaker, and media entrepreneur. To her supporters, she represents resilience and reinvention. Even her critics often acknowledge her determination. Long before the controversies, she learned how to think on her feet, adapt, and keep moving forward. In many ways, the lessons she once described from her pageant days became the defining traits of her career.